been amazing to listen to. Some great stories, some great advice. I've taken a ton of notes, just understanding how to run the business a little bit better, be yourself, and run the system, figure out your system. But be coachable as you go through things, and there's a lot of things that you can learn from. I get the privilege to introduce our next speaker. It's been awesome. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Kendall McCrae. I'm here in Arizona. I work with Sam pretty closely. Been here for 9 years, ring earner and everything. But growing up in the business, we had the opportunity to travel up and have different events. And I got to hear from this speaker quite a bit from these semi-annual events that we did, and seeing what she did then and where she's at now and what she's been able to accomplish has been awesome. And so I looked forward to these semi-annual events we did as a team, just to see where she was at and what her team was doing, and to see them grow was incredible. And so I'm excited to hear from her. She hit SMD when she was on her own doing things. She's a single mother. She's got an amazing story to tell, and I'm not going to tell that for you, but single mother, was a nurse and really got things going, hit her ring as she was becoming an SMD and doing a whole lot. And then she partnered up with another SMD. They got married and did some incredible things, yet they work very separately but well together as well. So they built an incredible business doing some awesome stuff. I remember watching them and do things, and when they were really killing it, they paid off their house and saved some great money. Just what our dream is, right? To go out and make some things happen, create your own life to where you don't have to worry about what other people say or dictate to you, because you create it yourself. And so that's what I'm excited to hear from Deanne, actually. So help me welcome Miss Dianne Argyle. Deanne, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I feel like, yes, that was my story. Punctuation. Just kidding. I love how I partnered up. You guys, that's what it's called. When you partner up with someone. Let's hope you guys aren't doing that unless you're getting married. Okay, so my name is Dianne Argyle, and I have been in this business since 2010, you guys. I feel like that is a really long time. Most people can't even hold one job for a decade, right? So I have seen what, people tell me that I run the old WFG system, and Sam, amazing job, like putting this all together. I have learned so much. And in reality, I was taking so many freaking notes from the women who are killing it now, right? Who are paving the way and taking away excuses. Because, back in 2010, and Elisa was talking about this, but in Utah, you guys, there were two women that were financial advisors here. There was no real path for that. This is a state that's very male dominated, let alone in the financial service industry. It's not like we paved a path for women to even know that there could be success there. It wasn't like something that people thought of. And so a little bit about my background is I was a single mom. I got pregnant at a young age. I did the Utah thing. So I got pregnant at a young age. I was out on my own at 18 with a little baby and just trying to make it work out. Right. I listened to Kelsey talk about how she had 5 jobs. And as a single parent, you're doing whatever. Well, I'd love to say that every single parent's like that, but there's different types. Right. But as a single parent, I was doing whatever it took to put a roof over our head, food on my table. But you know what I also had? I had this huge ego that I was going to prove to my parents that I didn't need them and I didn't need anything and I could figure out life, right? Like that whole teenage attitude. And it's so crazy for me to look at pictures back then because I was just a kid having a kid. Like I was just so young, trying to live life. And I had these jobs. Obviously, I worked 3 different jobs. I was like, okay, I got to grow up. Things got to get serious here because all the jobs sucked. Okay. I hated working for someone else, someone telling me when I had to get up, when, I got to eat, when I got to get off. And then your job will tell you how much you're going to earn. Your job will tell you what you're worth. Your job will tell you like what you deserve in life. And we're accustomed in school to learn that, right? Sit down, get good grades, be a good employee, and follow along. I used to always get in trouble, in school all the time. And I wouldn't conform to the rules. I didn't know what that really looked like, but I realized I still tried to conform. Okay. I was working all these jobs and I hated them. So what does the normal person do? Oh, I got to go back to school. That's what I got to do. I got to go to college. That's what smart people do. So I decided to put myself through college. In that process, I'm still young and I don't know anything. So I take my sister's advice. She's like, oh, you just apply here, right? FAFSA. They give you money. Yes, everyone is willing to give you loans, you guys. Somehow in school, I wasn't taught that you pay interest on loans. Somehow there's not free money, right? She's like, check all the boxes. I checked them all. I got every loan available to me. And that put myself through school, and I became a nurse and I was really wanting to become a doctor, but I still had this kid. And even though I got into certain schools, outside of my state, I was kind of freaking out because what am I going to do with my kid? Where do I put him? And so I was waiting to get into med school here in Utah. And so I worked at the hospital for quite some time, but even working at the hospital as a nurse, I was still going to school full time and I was still working a part-time job on the weekends. And I was dead set on creating an example and a life for my son that I didn't get to have. And that was one of my biggest reasons, my biggest goals in life was I'm going to make a life for this kid, right? One that I didn't get to have, but I'm going to be that person for him. And I finally got my scholarship from the hospital. And at the same time, because of that, and I'm going to tell you, timing is everything in this business, everything. It's everything in our life. And, that put me in a situation where I was thinking about money. And I didn't want to accumulate more student loans. I had done very well accumulating a lot of that. And I didn't know about money. You guys, I had a financial advisor. I had great benefits at the hospital. What would be considered great? Okay. You meet these people and they think they're set, right? I have a great matched 401k system. I have a pension. I had my financial advisor who was a family friend outside. I would go to him for advice, but he'd never take my phone calls because what I thought was a lot of money, $10,000 I'd saved my whole freaking life for, okay, was nothing. And he was never going to give me the time of day. He was never going to sit down with me. He was never going to teach me. He was never going to do some planning with me. I sat on hold with 1-800 numbers on my 401k. No one could help me. No one could tell me what I was supposed to be doing. Do you do the Roth option? Do you do the other option? What options am I supposed to choose? What do I even need? So it caused me to ask a lot of questions. But let me talk to you about how I met this company. This is really sad. So I met this company out of, honestly, our system. You guys talked about duplication earlier. Duplication is in the system. Your personality should be authentic. But because of our system is what I met the company. My sister was part of this business. Come to find out, a lot of my family was part of this business. They all had code numbers. Not one person talked to me. Not one thought I was capable of winning. Not one thought that I deserved to control my own life or make money. And out of desperation, because my older sister had no one to call, and I was sheer last resort, didn't even make the top 25 connection list, they did a drop by on me. Now, I rarely had any time off, so I don't necessarily believe in coincidences, because I'd be lucky if I had a couple hours in a month. You guys, I slept 3 hours a night. That was my schedule. I went to school full time. I did a residency. I worked in the hospital full time. Plus I had my part-time job. I knew what hard work was. I knew that grit that Kelsey was talking about. It's all I've ever known. And I did it because my son was worth it. And people in this business have excuses or they have reasons. And it's whatever you choose to feed. And for me, my sister calls me out of the blue. This girl doesn't ever call me. Okay. We live about an hour and 20 minutes away from each other, which isn't huge. I know. But anyway, she calls me and she's like, what you doing? And I was like, hey, I'm at Chuck E. Cheese with Mason. And she's like, oh, stay right there. I'm in the neighborhood. I'm going to come see you. I thought that was so weird. I was just like, why would she come see me? But like, she said she was in the neighborhood. I was like, okay. So she shows up literally, you guys, it's like an hour and a half later. So no, she was not in no neighborhood. Like she drove from her home with her trainer to come see me at Chuck E. Cheese. And like, she came in and she just froze. For you people that are on here and you're new, I know you have to go to make your own first contact, right? Or you have to, and it's your own friends or it's your own family and you can't even pick up the phone. You stutter, you're like, I don't know what to say. She was like that, right? So she comes in and she just froze. She didn't even know what to say to me. So finally her trainer's like, hey, my name's Amy. Has Melanie told you what she's doing? And I was like, no. Like it was so weirded out. I'm like, no. And she's like, okay, well, we'd like to set up a time where we can do that. And I was like, okay, what is it? Because I was, of course, thinking like, what the freak is going on here? Like, I don't even know this lady. She's talking to me. My sister's not talking to me. What is happening? And she's like, oh, we'll tell you when we sit down. I thought it was so weird, but I was like, okay, I set up the appointment. Because you know what? The truth is, you guys, Sam talked about it earlier about human nature. And it's really just understanding human nature. That's why the drop-bys worked. Because let's be honest, people don't want to tell you no to your face. Like, that's just really what happens. I sucked on the phone, you guys, in the beginning. I'll get to that. Anyway, rewinding. So I ended up sitting down with her. I tried to get out of it like a lot of people. I called her the day of. I tried to cancel. She starts crying. You have to keep your appointment. Everyone canceled. I was like, fine. So I kept my appointment, but that trainer lady didn't show up. It was someone else. And I had such a freaking ego. When they went through the first presentation with me, I was like, I don't get it. What is it you really do? And you know why I didn't get it? It's because they didn't try to sell me anything. They were actually trying to talk to me about an idea, right? And that was so off, like kilter for me. And I was so set on a plan. I didn't even know what they were trying to do here. And I was like, I don't get it. What do you do? And they're like, let me show you. So they start collecting my information. They collect all my information in that first appointment. And I was like, okay. And I gave them all my information. And they said, come to my office and I'll show you what you can do. I was intrigued. The next appointment, I went down to their office to see what they could do for me. I was blown away. I immediately became a client. I thought that like, oh my gosh, my own financial advisor hasn't told me any of this. My own financial advisor has never put a plan together for me, has never paved the way for me to be able to get what I need for me and my son. And I was like, heck yeah, I became a client. And that was it. I just became a client. They're like, you should come work with us. I was like, oh, hell no. I am not doing what you do. I do not even know how to add. Like I'm not good at math. I'm not good at finances. I could never do that, nor would I ever want to, because this sounds like one of those things. And no, thank you. And for 6 months, and the persistency of reaching out to me over and over and over, trying to get me to go do things. There was a big training here in Utah and Ed Milet was speaking. And she's like, oh, you got to come to this conference, right? I don't know who anyone is. I'm like, they wouldn't leave me alone. I said, fine. I paid my ticket. It was $100 or something. So I go, I got a stupid parking ticket. So I paid $150 for this meeting. But regardless, I listened to an Ed Milet, right? I listened to a lot of people. Steve Siebold, back before he was even with our company, all these people, right? So I'm listening. And at the end, they're like, so what do you think? You with us? And I was like, eh. Like I literally said that to the great Ed Milet. I mean, it made me cry. I mean, it was sad, but like, I was just like, oh, and I hadn't bought into the mission. I didn't understand it. But you know what? Eventually, and I'm talking about way random, you guys, I would get these phone calls from Chris that says, where you at? And I was like, I'm driving to like school, or I'm driving here. He's like, meet me at the McDonald's, meet me at this place, meet me at this place, for 6 freaking months. And he eventually, we were sitting down, and I think it actually was at a McDonald's. And he's like, talk to me. What is it you really want? And I want you guys to really understand that this is how you you touch somebody to help them to see the value of the business? What is it people really want? And I thought for a second, and I was like, well, and I gave the superficial example, of course. I want to go on humanitarian missions and medical missions because it was all along me becoming a surgeon, right? I want to go on medical missions. And he's like, why? And I was like, oh, well, I really love to like make a difference and give back. I want to play a bigger role in that. I want to take my son traveling so he can see how grateful he really should be. You know, how much he really does have in life. I want him to appreciate life. I want him to understand how amazing this life is and what you can create and how you can help people. And he was like, but why that? That guy got me to dig really deep because I didn't have anything after that. Like that was, and if you think about your why, I don't know how deep it can really go for you, but like he really made me think, but why do you want to do that? Why is that important to you? Why do you want to why is it important for you, for your son to feel that way? He got me to go so deep that like, I was like crying. I wanted to be an example to my son. Like I wanted to show him what was really possible in life. I want to empower him. I wanted him to not play the victim in life. You guys, I come from a family that's very blue collar, but we are big victims. You know, the government's horrible. They take everything away from us. Rich people did something scandalous to get there. They stepped on people. They broke the rules. Like I come from this family of deep rooted resentment to anyone who's made it because they had to do something wrong to get there. Right. You know, I heard my dad was a business owner forever. And he would always say, I'm just too nice. I wasn't willing to take advantage of people. That's what I grew up on. I don't know if you've ever heard those things. And I wanted to show my son that life wasn't like that you could have whatever you wanted and you could give so much more and what this world was really about. And you know what? He asked me a question. So if you continue doing what you're currently doing, is that even a possibility? And you got to ask yourself right now, if you continue to do what you're currently doing, do you even have the potential, the opportunity to actually hit your goals? Because my job, it wasn't going to happen. As a neurosurgeon, I was going to be on call all the time. I may be able to go on some medical missions, but I was never going to get to dedicate the time I wanted to with my son. I was never going to be in a surrounding that required me to grow as a person, that required me to empower my child. You know, I'd probably just keep overcompensating and buying him more and more things instead of actually giving him my time. I'd continue missing all my holidays. For most of you who know my story, I did not even get to spend a Christmas with my son until he was 9 years old. And that's when I joined the business, was when he was 8. So the following Christmas, I actually got to spend time with my son. You guys, when he was a baby, for the 3 hours I got to sleep, I would come home and I'd just hold him and I'd fall asleep, right? Like in my bed, like just holding him until the alarm would go off so I could go get ready for work at 3:30 in the morning and do it all over again. Like that was my life and it was all built around him. But when this company said, there's an opportunity here. So yeah, I filled out an AMA. Did that mean I did anything? How many people do you know that fill out an AMA and then they still do nothing? I did nothing. I was one of them. I'm the bamboo in Elisa's situation, okay? I filled out an AMA and I did nothing. I tried my idea of try. I tried to take the test. I failed. You know, I thought I put in a little bit more work. I failed again. And I was like, I don't need this. Why did I even do this? I don't even need this. I don't need someone telling me I can't pass a test. You know, like I thought I was so smart. Like I passed the MCAT. What do these people have on me? And like, it was craziness. But my leader said, get in here now, when I failed that test and I tried to quit. I tried to quit multiple times. And he said, no, go schedule your test again. And actually what he did is he walked me around from office to office to office to ask how many times these people failed their tests. It was as high as 10 times. But you know what? That person that failed their test 10 times makes $400,000 a year. Was it worth it? Yeah. And you know what? I went and took my test the next day and I passed. So that was freaking awesome. But even then, I tried to quit. Why did I try to quit? Because nothing happened in my business. I didn't see one sell. I didn't bring on one new agent. I never came to training. I wasn't engaged. I did nothing. My trainer tried to call me. My trainer tried to like encourage me, but that didn't work. But you know what happened? He got me to a convention. And the reason why this is so important to be at big events, you guys, a big event is about to be announced at the beginning of April. And no matter what, I don't care if you're broke. I don't care if you already have plans. I'm telling you right now, you better register for that. And it will sell out. This is our first in-person convention for most people, it sounds like, who just got started in 2019, right? Like this convention will be huge, but they are only selling a limited amount of tickets, and it's half of the agents that we even have on the platform currently. And we bring on new agents every day. It will sell out in a matter of days. And so I'm going to encourage you to get there because that event changed my life. That was my turning point. I went to that convention literally quitting. I told them after this, I'm done. I'll come to this because I paid for it, but I'm done. I don't want to do this business anymore. I'm taking my scholarship and I'm just going to focus on that. And you know what I saw? I saw success after success after success. My starting salary as a surgeon was $250,000 at the hospital. I was just getting ready to sign my contract. And I was at this convention and I saw story after story. Penny Oy became like, I love how PJ was talking about this, but Penny Oy became my idol. I remember getting to hang out with her and take her to the airport just a couple of years ago. And I had to get a picture, it's still on my wall today. That'll bring me to a point. Hold on, I'm gonna do the Matt Heward thing. I'm just kidding, that was a note to him. I don't even know if he's here. Okay, guys. All right, so for those who know. Okay, so for me, Penny Oy changed my life. And I saw story after story. For the first time, I watched women winning. And here in this business is equal opportunity. I am not a big believer in this whole and I do a lot of women events. I'm not this believer in that women get paid less than men. Statistically, yes, they do. But the reason why is because we can't put in all the same time as men. And you guys have heard me, if you've ever heard me talk, the fact is there's so many interruptions in our life that we're expected to be the ones that take time off. And as a single mom, of course, I was the one to take time off, right? His dad's not in the picture, guys. I've never gotten one child support check. Like nothing ever happened, like nothing, okay? Like he's not in his life. So, but for me, like what happens when your kids are sick? I want you to really think about this. Who's taking time off? What happened during COVID when the kids had to be taught from school? Now mom becomes a teacher and has to do a job? What happens when our parents get sick? Who takes the time off? And this is what happens to women. The truth is we're expected to bend. We're expected to be flexible. We're just expected to do it all. I do not know how many times I get asked, how do you balance it? How do you balance, your family and your business? You know what? It's everyday life. It is just life. But I've never watched my husband ever get asked that. I don't ever watch men get asked, like in the professional setting, how they're going to keep it all together, or how do they handle women in the business, right? We have to get asked that all the time. How do you handle the men in the business? I'm like, oh my goodness. But you know what? You know what I loved about this business is there was a path here for success. It was equal opportunity. Trust me, I work just as hard as men and I deserve to get paid just like men. And you get that here. There's no excuse and you'll never hear that. It is literally up to our own effort. And you know what women are? We're badass workers. Okay. We're super effective and we don't need a time clock. I don't need a 9 to 5. I need a job that works around my life. I need a job that's flexible around what I got going on, right? That works with my kid. In the beginning, it is hard. Elisa talked about that. Like, my son, he would go to client deliveries with me. He would be in the office with me. But I was so grateful that I had a job that I could do that with. Like that I had the ability to have this flexibility. And so this business has brought so much joy into my life. And let me tell you something, before this business, I was making okay money, right? But I had like a thermostat of 60,000 because, nurses don't really make a lot and they treat us like garbage. and, were unappreciated, but I didn't get paid a ton, but that was my thermostat because it was a lot to me. I love how Elisa talked about that. Like 50,000 was a lot in Utah dollars, right? Like it was, for me, making 60,000 was more than I made in my 3 jobs combined prior. So I was feeling pretty good about myself, about my first house, right? We even got a dog. Like I was living the American dream. And yet this business offered me a bigger opportunity. And when I went to convention, I saw that I could have my $250,000, but I could also have my time. I've never been able ever to see that. As a doctor, I'd never have that time. I'd have the money, no time, no control over that. Still wanting to go on a vacation, but can't. But in this business, I saw huge success. And you know what? I paid attention to the timeline. And the average was 8 to 10 years. Back then, it's way faster today, okay? But back then, what I saw was 8 to 10 years making $500,000 a year. I saw it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm just as capable as them. This is everything I've ever wanted. If I could give that 8 years, instead of going to 8 years of my schooling left, if I could put the 8 years here, learn this career, and still make $250,000 and control my time, then I'm going to do that. I came home and I thought about it back and forth, and then I made the commitment. I quit. I gave up my scholarship. I was like, I'm going to learn this business. And yes, I was part-time for a year because I still had to put food on my table. I still worked at the hospital while I was doing this, but it was my turning point. I made a decision in my mind. And that's one thing you have to do in wanting to create that agency for yourself, wanting to create that lifestyle that you want. Are you actually committed to it? Or will you stop when you get comfortable? Will you stop when you've actually made more money than you've ever made in your whole life? The cool thing about this business, if you have so many people that help you to stretch your vision. I used to think $250,000 was a lot, right? So I became an SMD back in 2014. I hit my ring that same year. And then, 2 years later, I hit $250,000. And yes, what Kendall was talking about, I paid off my first house when I was 32 years old. I made $1 million. I've been paid almost $3 million from this company. Like I've done a lot through this company, through this platform. It's been amazing. But the biggest thing that's ever done is the associations. Today, I'm surrounded by 100 women and some men who literally are ambitious, want to grow, want to progress in life, and want to help people. Tell me, what job can you go to that you are constantly surrounded by progression? If you can focus on what you're doing to grow and how you're getting better instead of the money will come. I'm telling you this, there's nothing like this business when it comes to growth and progression. Like I'm constantly forced to become better, become a better me, help more people. Because $250,000, what I learned really quick is that only gives you a good lifestyle. I can't change the world. I can't even change my own family situation at $250,000. I can just live nice. I can live well. But how am I creating freedom for anyone unless I teach them how to fish? My whole mission, my whole humanitarian mission now became giving that the same opportunity, but help empower other people to see it. We're all capable of it. We just needed a platform where it was possible. And that's what WFG is. This is your platform. This is where possibilities happen. Everyone has equal possibilities here. We all come in different, right? I had a lot more growth to do than I think some people do when they come in the business, but that's okay. What I realized really fast is that everyone wins so long as they don't give up. Everybody wins here when they don't give up. So what helped me to go to where I was brand new to SMD? It did take me 3 years, you guys. One of those years I was part-time. But here's some key points. And I know I'm not as cool. I don't have the PowerPoint. I'm sorry. But basically what I did to become an SMD was to get very, very clear on what my goals were and reminding me of those goals every day. So I don't know about you, but I love Erica's even backdrop right now with her vision board. Okay, love it. People have it on their phone, but do you know where you want to go? And are you reminding yourself, first and foremost, do you actually believe it's possible? Do you believe it's possible that you can hit those things? We make you fill up a vision board but do you actually believe it? So I had to fix my mindset, you guys. My mindset was broken. It was really, really broken when I came into this business, not accepting possibilities. That's great for those people. Those people deserve that, not me, right? So I had to like work on my mindset. So I'm going to tell you guys to collect evidence. Collect evidence of why you're going to win here, why you're creating success, right? What's one thing you could win at? Like try to work on that. I don't know if your teams have any kind of like contest. They could be weekly, monthly contests. Go earn it. You know, even some of those contests, I would stay later than someone else. That's why I'm going to win. You know, I'd show up earlier than someone else. I made more phone calls than that guy today. I'm going to win. Right. So like I was always looking for evidence of why my goals were a reality. Obviously, you got to read them twice a day. You got to remind yourself of them twice a day, if not throughout the day, because I have a very short-term memory and ADHD. So got to constantly remind myself about my goals, but you better commit to it because you're worth it. Your family's worth it. The time's worth it. Creating a legacy, paving the road for all these women that are on this platform right now. Your success isn't just about you. Your daughters are watching you. I used to think, oh my gosh, you know, you work a lot. You know what I taught my son? What hard work does? The fact that I was working, he was with me, he was watching it. This is why he has what he has. He's learning that very quickly. He's 20 years old today and beyond grateful. I never thought I was getting through to him. Oh my gosh, all he does is thank me. He's 20 years old. All he does is want to hang out with me all the time. I don't know what kind of teenage boy wants to do that, right? But it was because this business taught me what quality time was, not quantity. What am I doing with my time? Am I intentional? It's all about him. He knows he's my biggest priority, my biggest reason. You know, like this business taught me that. The amazing mentors taught me that. Penny Oy taught me that. I was able to watch so many people winning at such a big level. And then I was finding reasons of how I was going to win, right? The one thing I had to also do is I had to plug in more. So this was mentioned by quite a few other people. What I mean by plug in more, don't miss a training. I don't care if you know that information. You don't know what you're missing out on. But what I'll tell you is the biggest problem. I've now been in the business for 12 years. Is it's all about mentality. And the closer you can stay engaged, the more proximity to a leader or a mentor, because listen, they think much bigger than you. Regardless what you want to say, they have a big vision. They've been through a lot. They see the ups and downs. They can help you stretch your vision. You don't see yourself maybe as a successful person that's making $500,000, $1 million a year, but they do see that in you. They see all your capabilities, all the possibilities, and they can help you see that. You need to stay in training. You need to go as many trainings. You need to never miss a big event. So you're getting plugged in could be even accounting on a daily basis. Find an accountability partner. It could be your senior marketing director. They don't need to respond back. But listen, if I want to get better, how can I get proper advice if they don't know what's going on in my life? Especially in this Zoom era. So if Sam was my leader or my mentor or my trainer, I'm going to report to him every day. I'm going to send him a text message. Made 5 contacts a day. I did 2 one-on-ones, right? Nothing happened. I couldn't get him out to I couldn't set up a follow-up, right? Next day, I did 5 contacts. He may never respond to me, right? I did 5 contacts. I got 1 needs analysis. I couldn't close it down. I couldn't even schedule an appointment. But over time, he sees my numbers and what I'm doing. Now he knows how to give me advice. Because if I can stay plugged in, he knows how to help me get to the next level. And so as you guys are growing or wanting to get to your next promotion, make sure you stay plugged in, you go to every meeting, you invest more in you. And they talked a lot about investing in your team. You're part of your team. You got to invest in you in books. You got to invest in you in going to like other classes. They don't all have to be WFG related. Listen, I put so much time and effort into my own mind, my own brain, like understanding numbers, understanding like how to think, understanding human nature. It was said on here earlier today that if this is, what did you call it, Sam? You called it human capital. So we work on human capital. You better be investing on how the human behavior works, right? How does that work? Are you guys reading about that? How do I get people to overcome their own obstacles and withstanding in their own ways? And so those are things that like I did. And then of course, you got to track everything. Do you know what it takes to run your own agency? Treat this like a business. There is no way you guys could go buy a franchise and not have a profit and loss statement. There is no way you guys could have a franchise and not know your inventory. You couldn't go bid out a job if you didn't know, like, what actual effort do I need to take and what result does that give me? So one of the things, I went to the Ireton's, I spoke at one of the Ireton's meetings and trainings, and they did this Shark Tank like event, and you had to go promote your business on if they should invest in you. Should your trainer invest in you? And you had to go show your numbers. Were you worth the investment? Had you done enough work that it was actually going to pan out? Did you even know your numbers? Because if you were in front of a Shark Tank, you guys have seen that show, and sometimes, you know, they don't really know what their profit and loss, who invested what, how much ownership is going on. And they're like, I'm out, I'm out, right? But like, do you know your numbers? Are you tracking your business? Could you sell your business? Is it scaling? Are you growing? You know, and if not, granted, we're all new when we just get started. Of course, we don't know. That's why you have a mentor. You're not in this alone. And you're not expected to be everything to everyone. That's why we bring on other agents as a team. That's what makes us powerful. As a team, you are going to have people in your team that are better than you at certain things, and you want that. Your personality shouldn't be the same personality as the person you bring in. You're trying to create a business that really fills all the gaps. And so this business is something that's so big, but basically I'm going to talk to you about accounting daily. Start tracking your numbers. Learn your own numbers. I have to do this many needs analysis to get a client. Once you know your numbers, this business is so doable. It's just about making a certain amount of contacts. Listen, contacting is the worst thing we have to do in this business. That worst thing is the best thing in anyone's life. You have an opportunity to offer them freedom. You guys, I could not look at one of your people's social media. I couldn't even scroll to 10 people and not have one of them complaining about something. Do you guys understand that our society right now, there are 98% of people dissatisfied. They hate their job. They hate the government. They hate paying taxes. They hate that the market's losing. They hate that they have no control in their life. Yet you offer the solution that they can gain control over everything. Do you guys know that you get to write your own raise? There's only one group of people I know that can do that, and it's Congress. You guys have the ability to write your own checks here, to make as much money as you want to make, as much as you want to make, no cap. You guys, this platform is the most amazing platform I've ever been a part of. I don't care if you play it small, you play it big, it's all on you. And no one's going to tell you different. I love that. I love that I have complete control over the good things, the bad things. I can make the change to any of them. And so I am so grateful for the opportunity to come talk to you. I'm grateful to be surrounded by go-getters. And I didn't ever mean to ixnay any of the men on here. I actually love all of it. I love this business. I love the fact that we're all in here helping each other win, even though I'm not invested in your success, but I am. Because if every one of you on here could create something amazing, you living into your life, you living into your goals, you just paved the way for the next generation. Your success matters. Your ability to win matters. And like, it inspires me every day to know that you guys are out there fighting. So I get up and I go fight, even though my residual income would say I don't have to. My residual income would say, I don't need to get out of my bed, because regardless if I wake up, trust me, I have plenty of money and I have plenty of money still coming in. But you guys drive me. You inspire me to keep going, because if I were to stop or slow down, how many more women won't hear about this? How many more women won't get helped? They'll live in their same situation and justify it.